What is a color space transform, and what is even a color space? Why do we need to transform it in the first place? Where should we put the color space transform in the node tree? And why are we not just using a conversion LUT instead? Isn't that just the same? These are the questions that I get all the time on my YouTube videos, on my Instagram, on anywhere else that I'm talking about, and people are seeing the color space transform because it can be a little bit confusing as to what it is and where and how to use it. So in this video, I thought I'll cover all of it in a short video and kind of try to explain as best as possible to you what it is, where to put it, and why we're using it in the first place. So let's jump into it. First of all, what is the color space transform? Essentially, it allows you to take your footage from one color space to another color space, essentially transforming your color space. So that kind of makes sense, right? You take your color space transform and you dial in the settings. So you tell the software or the tool, this is the color space that I'm coming from, and this is the color space I want to turn it into. Now, that quickly leads us to the question, what is a color space in the first place? A color space is a range of information, and you might know it as Rec. 709, as you've probably heard before. This is the most common one for all of our displays to show. And then you might have heard of different log types that are Canon log free, Sony log free, D log for DJI, and various others. These are all different color spaces that have different variations or different amounts of information in them. So what is a color space? A color space is essentially a range of information of hue, saturation, and luminance. So what range of colors, the hue, what strength of color, the saturation, and what brightness of color, the luminance. These are the three key points in a color space. And the smaller the color space, for example, Rec. 9, which is one of the smallest ones, has a lesser range of hue, saturation, and luminance, whereas some of the bigger ones have more information in all these areas in those log profiles where you can capture a lot more hue, saturation, and luminance. Therefore, you also have more information and more things to work with in your post or in your editing, in your color grading. Now, there are other topics such as dynamic range and bit depth and other things that come into question when we're talking about how much information your camera can capture. We're not going to cover that in this video. It's just to let you know that there are other things that, of course, influence how much you can capture, but the log profiles are different color spaces as well as Rec. 9, which is the most common one. That then leads us to the next question. Why do we need to transform it in the first place? And the best way that I can explain this to you is to kind of use an analogy of language. So the way I want to explain it to you is that let's say that a color space is a language. Let's say Rec. 9 is a very simplified version of a language. In this case, we'll just say that is English. English is the language then that all displays in the world understands. So if we want to translate something or transform something into a state where all displays can essentially understand it, Rec. 9 is where we want to go, or in this case, English. Now let's then say that Canon log free from Canon is Spanish, Sony log free is Italian, and D log from DJI drones are French. These are all different languages, so our displays immediately do not understand what to do with them. When they show up, they look flat, they look desaturated, and they look very weird. So we wouldn't really get the colors out of it that we know that the sensor in our camera captured. So that is the reason why we want to transform it into Rec. 9 so we can probably view it. And the goal here is say that Spanish, Italian, and French in this case are more nuanced, bigger languages that we have more information that we can explain more things with. We can talk more about color, saturation, and luminance essentially. Then we want to simplify it and kind of dumb it down into Rec. 9 so our displays understand all of it as well. Now, before anyone comes after me, I'm not saying that any of these languages are better than others or more full or worse than others. Essentially, it's just for the analogy, so just stick with me on this, okay? It then leads us into the next question, which is where in my node tree in DaVinci Resolve should I put my color space transform? And as I see it, there's three methods that you can use. One that I do not recommend you do, but it does have some use cases that are relevant to discuss, and two others that I use, which the second one will probably be the most applicable for most, and the third one is kind of like a little bit of an advanced one. So let's jump into it. The first method, as you probably see in different tutorials, is to just simply put it in the beginning. The first node in our node tree, meaning that the first thing we do, the first thing that happens to our footage in our color grading is transforming it from our log profile or our different language, let's say Canon log free or Spanish in this case of our example here, and then transforming it into or translating it into English or Rec 709. Now, the reason why I wouldn't recommend you do this and then grading after that is essentially when we are still in our log profile, we have a lot more information as we just discussed. So if you, in the first thing that you do, put in the color space transform and then grade afterwards, you've lost all that additional information because we've basically dumbed it down into Rec 709 and we've lost the extra information that we have. Now, there are a few instances where it makes sense to do this, and that is, for example, to grade after the Rec 709 conversion or after the color space transform, when you need to key out a color or you need to get a specific thing. The reason why is that when you are still in the log profile, the colors and everything are very flat and desaturated, so it's going to be more difficult to get a perfect key out of that. Which is why in some instances it does make sense to do some things after the color space transform. But that leads us to the second method, which is the one that I highly recommend that you look into and use, and that is putting the color space transform at the end of your node tree. So essentially you're putting it as the last node, but I still recommend it's the first step that you do. Why? Because we want to see our output as Rec 709, but we want to take advantage of all that extra information that we have. So we are grading before the color space transform, but we're doing it as the first step. So let me simplify it. The first thing you do is put the color space transform, but you move it all the way to the end of your node tree, and then you add nodes before that, and then you grade in there. Essentially what you're doing then is you're grading the log footage, but what you see is the Rec 709, because all your adjustments, all the finer details that you're doing are being done in log and then probably converted into Rec 709 at the end. So essentially all that extra hue, saturation, luminance, all that extra information, you have the advantage of working with that and then probably translating it compared to translating it first and losing a lot of all that additional information and then being able to tweak it afterwards. If you start playing around with it in DaVinci Resolve, you'll quickly see the difference and that you can tweak on a lot more of a granular level if you're working before the color space transform. And as I said, in some instances, if you want to key or something, it does make sense to do it after. But just for those few things, I would recommend doing that. And then doing those minor key things after the color space transform and not before. But that also leads us to the third and final method, which is a little bit more advanced, but that means actually putting a color space transform as the first thing and as the last thing in your node tree. And the reason why we're doing this is that the first color space transform would be taking it from your log footage, let's say Canon log 3 or Sony log 3, and transforming it into DaVinci wide gamut and DaVinci intermediate. Now what this is a larger color space than your log profile already is. And what it means is basically that we now put it into a different color space that has even more range. Not that we get more information in our footage, but it allows us to color grade on an even more granular level than we did before. So because we now translated it from log footage into a larger color space, of course we also need to translate it or transform it from that color space into Rec 709. So that's why we have another color space transform at the end of our node tree. And essentially here we're taking it from DaVinci wide gamut and DaVinci intermediate into Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4 to convert it correctly. Now, grading within these two color space transforms allows us to extract a lot more information and grade on an even more granular level and get even more detail with our grading. Now, if you're just starting out, you can just stick to method 2, that's completely fine, and then you can move up to using DaVinci wide gamut if you want later on, or you can just stick to method 2, that's completely fine as well. I won't judge you at all, and that's what I think most people would go with anyway. Now, I just wanted to tell you about method 3 as well, because it is a valuable thing to do and is a valuable method to get even better and get even more granular with your grading. And that leads us to our last question: why do we not just use a conversion LUT? Now, first of all, it's completely fine to use conversion LUT. If you go to your camera manufacturer, Sony, Canon, whatever it might be, most of them have a conversion LUT available that can convert from the log space or log color space that you're in to Rec 709, and that's completely fine. You can go with that, and that will do, for the most part, the exact same thing as the color space transform does, because essentially they have the same settings. It's just a matter of how you go about it. Now, the reason why I wouldn't recommend doing it is because you have all the same settings in the color space transform. It's already built into DaVinci Resolve, even in the free version, so there's no really need to go and download something and find that file every time, when you can just do it in the software itself. And if you want to progress to using DaVinci wide gamut or larger color space later on, it makes sense that you are using color space transform, because then you have the added possibilities to work with that, as we just explained in method 3 before. So there's no real reason other than it's maybe a little bit more simplified to use the LUT conversion. That's the only kind of reason there is to do it. Most of the time they look the same. Now I have one example of where it makes sense to not use it. When you're working with DJI drones, the DJI Conversion LUT that DJI provides for D-Log to Rec. 09 simply is very, very harsh on the footage. I find that it makes it very, very contrasty compared to working with something else. Now, an important thing to mention is that when we're working with the color space transform, of course, it makes sense to convert it properly from your log input parameters into Rec. 09. But in some instances, if you can get a better starting point with something else, in my example here, if you're working with the D-Log format, I found that, and that got from a recommendation from one of you guys actually, that if you're using D-Log or D-Gamut first, that's fine, but then using, instead of the D-Log profile, then using Canon Log, not Canon Log 3, but just Canon Log, gives you a much softer and nicer starting point. And that's what I'm grading from now, and that makes a huge difference because it's so much nicer to work with the contrast and everything afterwards. So that's just a recommendation there, and that's why I prefer working with the color space transform, and why in my head it makes so much more sense to work with that than downloading all these conversion LUTs and trying to play around with those. But again, it's completely up to you. I'm not judging you. You can do however you want to do it. Now, last note before I leave you in this video, I just wanted to mention that I do have a color grading course that teaches you from A to Z in color grading, and teaches you all these things on how you go about color grading and how you can build out your node trees, how you get the best workflow, how you understand exposure, and how you get skin tones looking right. All the things that you need to get your footage to look better. And trust me, getting to know how to color grade and not just applying a simple LUT goes a huge way and a huge step forward in understanding your camera, exposure, lighting, everything, and combining everything together to really get a better looking image moving forward. And even if you're not trying to become a professional filmmaker or a colorist for that matter, it's very valuable to understand how to work with your footage, because it gives you the advantage and the confidence in the field when you're shooting, whatever you're shooting, to know that you can either save it or at least work with it and make it look great and amazing inside of your color grading when you move into post. Now, it is heavily focused on DaVinci Resolve, and if you watch this video, you're probably interested or working with DaVinci Resolve already. So that's just a note for you. You can join it if you're using Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro, but I would highly suggest that you're using DaVinci Resolve, and it's free to use. There's a link down in the description below if you're interested in checking it out, and if not, that's completely fine. I have lots of free content here on YouTube as well that you can learn from, and covering a lot of the same things, just not in a structured way and just not all of it. So with that said, I will just leave you here. I hope you got something out of this video. I hope I clarified what the color space transform is for you, just a little bit more at least, and help you get further in your journey with DaVinci Resolve. With that said, until the next time, take care.